Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Mira, and I will be playing Sammy Jax today. And with me is my very lovely companion.
Hi, I'm Avi. I'll be playing Arata Satomi, and if my internet bleeps out again, I am going to strangle it.
I gently pat you. I feel that. Okay, this FPS takes place after, chronologically, Simon Says, which is a whole bucket and a half. But also there will be the contents of
Virtuoso.
Virtuoso Flourish.
I love you.
I struggle so hard with pronouncing that damn.
No.
English is hard.
No, you're fine.
Wait. I love the game. I love it so much, but I even have trouble spelling it. But yeah, there was a whole entire flashback game that kind of tied a loose plot line with Bevan Brush that is most likely going to come up because, oh boy, that was a bucket and a half.
I'm just gonna continue laughing.
And so, yeah, chronologically, this is after Simon Says, and Sammy is very unwilling to be alone right now, and the party had split up after Gil had basically said, "Hey, I need to go do some stuff. We'll have the party later." The party game has not actually happened thus yet, but most likely will be happening in flashback, just because scheduling. But,
oh yeah,
Sammy, like I mentioned, has not wanted to really be alone after the events of Simon Says, and has asked Arata to stay the night with him before doing some other stuff later in the week. Together. And gotta grab my thoughts. Has set up his house of paint once again in its rightful spot in his garden. And so yeah, that's where the camera zooms in on the house of paint that Sammy owns, with both Arata and Sammy in the living room. And I will really quickly grab my screenshots of the house of paint so we can actually orient ourselves.
Yeehaw.
Alright.
I think, like, while you're rapping, it should go without saying, because Jeannie is there too, probably lounging around.
Uh-huh. We love Jeannie, and we're very happy that Jeannie is here.
Jeannie, who played Comfort Cat throughout the entirety of Simon Says.
I
know! That's great.
We love Jeannie and appreciate Jeannie so much. Okay, there's the screenshot.
Here we are.
And yeah,
nice.
So we're currently in the kind of combination of the kitchen and living room, kind of more in the living room area with the couch and stuff. So yeah, I'll start us off by asking Arata, how are you doing, buddy?
Well, a lot has happened. Is this a me after Simon Says, or has the cake already happened?
You know what? It probably has already happened, just because chronologically it's already happened.
Yeah, fair. Arata's vibing and trying to get things in his own way. Coughs, cough, trickster, cough, cough. But he is vibing. He's sitting on the couch. But he's probably reading a book that he brought. But in terms of like how doing, that's up in the air.
Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like Sammy is kind of puttering around in the kitchen area and stuff, and like he just kind of pokes his head out from the half wall that separates the majority of the kitchen appliances from the living room itself, and he just kind of is looking at you, Arata, and actually he's gonna roll just insight before he asks anything, and that was a... Okay, 16 plus 1, 17. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. We've had a discussion before about Arata and Sammy and books way back when.
Mm-hmm.
Arata does like to read, but right now you can kind of tell that he's having trouble like actually processing the words on the page. He's just kind of like staring at it, not really like absorbing the information. In fact, you're pretty sure that his eyes start getting up the page again, like he's trying to read.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's trying to like wait, what was that? But like you can tell that his thoughts aren't really like
they're not invested in
there.
Like, they're not invested in the actual book.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely things on his mind.
Yeah.
Which, considering the time they had, yeah! And I'm just gonna do a precursory roll to see how... Oof. Arata, you start to hear the smell of scalded leaves, as Sammy kinda turns back around and there's like a little burst of Grolix, because he realizes he has oversteeped the tea. The tea is now emitting cartoonishly black smoke instead of steam. And he just kinda... There's like another burst of Grolix as he kind of dumps the tea into the sink.
You were right over there?
Fine. I got distracted. Arata, are you doing okay? You don't seem very invested in the book.
Arata kind of sighs and just closes the book, and he puts it down on the couch beside him, probably like right in between himself and Genie.
Mm-hmm.
And he just goes, "You know, that's kind of a loaded question, and I'm not really that up to pretending I'm okay right now."
I mean, we've been through a lot, and I was gonna make some tea to maybe soften the conversation, but that kind of didn't happen. And he kind of just reaches up and scrubs at his rainbow hair, because like, his hood is around his shoulders instead of on his head, and he's just kind of looking a little wry, and it's very easy to read his expression now because of the mask not being there on his face.
Yeah. I think Arata kind of like watches you for a moment, probably still smells the burning tea, and he kind of goes, "Well, if the drinks don't work, we could always try eating something instead."
Sammy kind of visibly pauses and like raises a finger, and then just kind of like, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think at that point, Arata like stands up and like starts going towards the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Sammy kind of makes a grand gesture. It's just like, my kitchen is yours.
Yeah, I think Arata's probably just gonna be like, "You want curry?"
Curry sounds really good right now. I've been practicing making some honey buns from when I was younger. And I'm just gonna roll to see how. Okay, pick the dice. The dice is bullying Sammy. This is comfort food. I am giving him a pass and saying that he can make these honey buns without trouble because peck you dice. That was a 5. Technically would be a 9, but still, peck you dice.
And my cat is causing a ruckus. Hang on.
Hello, Kitty.
Alright. I think in that case, I was like, can I try one?
Sammy kind of just offers one to Arata, and they're not like cinnamon rolls. They're like me and Avi have had this discussion in DMs, but they're basically cinnamon laced rolls with no icing, but basically drenched in honey.
A little bit of sweetness to balance out the angst.
Yep.
Arata's gonna take a bite.
Hope he likes sweets.
Oh yeah, no, he's like, oh shit, that is really sweet.
Yep.
Oh, this is good.
So he kind of just his shading immediately kind of turns from a very, very, very light purple because he was a little worried about how it would taste because it's a toon dish. And immediately turns to bright sunshine yellow and he just kind of beams at you, Arata, and he kind of is just like, you already know I like your curry.
Yeah, well, I guess we're just like, does this count as a cultural change?
Sorry, as a what change?
As a cultural exchange.
Cultural exchange. Sammy kind of thinks about it and then kind of just nods.
Arata nods back, but he goes, he's starting to actually prepare to cook some curry.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, as he's working, he goes, I have a friend back home, absolutely adores sweets. I think she would love this.
Sammy kind of just thinks for a moment and is like, I wonder if Glorps sells a packaging box that keeps food fresh. And now he's starting to think about it because he's like, oh man, I don't want one of Arata's friends to miss out on this. I wanna share.
Arata thinks about it, and then he kind of gives a shrug, and he goes, well, either way, you might have a chance to give it to them in person. I'm apparently planning to visit for my birthday, so.
Sammy's got there's a very cartoonish exclamation point that goes over Sammy's head, and he's just kind of wait, Arata, you're having your friends come to Dyingquell?
There was a huge mix-up where they wanted to keep it a surprise, but then one of them sent me a letter, and then the rest of them were like, gosh darn it. So they all had planned to come surprise visit me, but it's not a surprise anymore. Does that make sense?
Sammy kind of starts laughing at that, and then like he just kind of gently hip checks Arata and is just like, sounds like they're really good friends.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Also, he kind of pokes Arata in the side. What is your birthday? Poke, poke, poke.
Arata starts laughing as you poke him, and he goes, my birthday's on September 15th.
There is a very obvious thought bubble where Sammy is, like, mentally making a note of that.
I think as that happens, Arata laughs, and I'm going to roll. And if it's bad, I'm probably going to do... Yeah, I'm going to do the same as you did. You know what? Fuck it, you good curry.
yeah. Good. This is the comfort part of the FPS. We are not screwing it up.
I rolled a 7.
Oof.
But, you know what? Dumps roll. Shoves it to the side.
It's an FPS. We can do what we want. Plus, this is patently Arata's thing. Curry is his thing.
Oh, curry is absolutely his thing. But yeah, as he's cooking, the familiar homey scent of curry, homemade curry, kind of starts wafting through the kitchen. And as it happens, he goes, I actually don't know how they're coming here, but like apparently one of them on teleportation service just sitting here trying to figure out where the teleportation circle is. God.
Well, I mean, there is a teleportation circle station. I've taken that to go to, I currently cannot remember, the actual city in Ghibli that Sammy first went to. So, yeah, but pretend that he actually says the city name, because Mira themselves is actually drawing a blank right now, and I am too lazy to pull up the Einquell map just for one city.
Oh, mood. Like, Arata kind of like takes that in consideration and starts nodding, and he's like, okay, I mean, it's like when I have to meet them there. Oh, God. He's like laughing to himself because it's a lot of friends who are coming over.
Mm-hmm.
But he continues to say, I still have the letters with me, you know, if you want to poke at them a bit, I guess.
Sammy kind of smiles at that and he's like, maybe a little bit later. I think we've both been through a lot, and with the food by our sides, maybe we could talk about it.
Arata kind of goes quiet. He's probably like stirring the fuck, I forgot what goes into curry. He's probably stirring the a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he stares into the pot for a bit, and he doesn't really look at you, but he takes a deep breath, and then like you get the impression that Lupine probably said something, because then he kind of like closes his eyes and nods, and he goes, yeah, I guess we should.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's been, what, 4 months since we helped Bevan. And then there was Sunny Claire. And that's just the stuff me and you've been with together. And there's a lot that's happened on my end, too. But I think at least starting, I can tell you're not okay, Arata. And I want to be here for you.
Usually I'm the one who says that.
Yeah, well, it's always good to let yourself rest on other people for once. You know?
There's another sigh. And Arata doesn't say anything, but he nods.
Sammy kind of just rests his hand on Arata's shoulder and just kind of gives it a little squeeze.
I think at this point, Arata's gonna start serving the curry.
Mm-hmm.
Probably get Gretchen. Pour some out for you, hands it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And grabs the plate for himself.
Uh-huh. And I think, like, Sammy kind of nudges Arata after, like, the burner has been turned off and stuff, and just kind of shepherds. Kind of basically, like, shepherd dog motion of nudging Arata to the couch again.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm going. He takes a seat right next to and Eugene kind of just like soft so that like he's laying on at Arata's feet so you can have the space next to him.
Sammy sits down and just is like kind of holds its food kind of to the side for a moment and then just kind of leans over, like basically folding himself in half so he can kind of more address Jeannie, and it's just like, thanks, Jeannie. And Arata, you just hear meowing.
Yeah. Jeannie meows back. Do I really want to do Jeannie's voice for this? Trying to remember how to do it. He's just saying you're welcome.
Mm-hmm. I know that after the fight with Rocky, you really weren't doing okay. And I had wanted to give you space, but what Lupine had kind of seemed to say, just the link, I don't think that was a very good idea in the end.
Yeah, I was kind of starting to space out a bit. So Lupine knows that, like, having people I know helps ground me in the moment. Arata sighs and he quiet again. I'm not gonna have you roll insight because you that something's already wrong with Arata. And he looks for a moment like he's trying to figure out how to word what he wants to say. And eventually he goes, what Rocky or Roxy or whatever her name is, she said when she was tied up and we brought her back to the inn. What she said kind of... It kind of reminded me of someone.
Sammy kind of just leans against Arata slightly and just kind of nods. It's like, do you want to talk about them?
I mean, I got this far, so I might as well. Arata kind of laughs, but there's not really any humor in it.
Mm-hmm. I think at this point, like, Sammy kind of puts his curry in his lap. Like, it's basically gone at this point. But, like, he kind of just wraps an arm around Arata and, like, just kind of tucks him into Sammy's side.
I have to pull something up. Give me a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Arata's not looking at you anymore. He's kind of staring at his half-finished plate. And he just goes, it reminded me of something Azumi said the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
Arata's got that look on his face like he's trying to figure out how to say this. And he says, look, I already told you that Sumi was kind of an asshole, right?
Yeah.
When I said that Azumi was kinda an asshole, that's true. But what I really meant was that, like, he wasn't a good person. He did a lot of really bad things, and he hurt a lot of people. But I think in that moment, that last conversation we had, he realized how stupid he was.
I'm sorry. And Sammy, by this point, kind of just gives you... He's giving you a one-armed hug at this point, so he just kind of gently squeezes you again.
Oh, God. It's... He was something. He was... he was really something. even without all the bad stuff he did, he was still an amazing detective. I mean, what, he started solving when he was like, what, 15?
Well, it's certainly younger than me. I just got yeeted into plot when I was 18. I'm 19 now, so.
I mean, yeah, that's still young, but jeez.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, when I was 15, I was still a street rat.
Do you mind if I ramble a bit?
No, I want you to get this off your chest. 'Cause it's been hurting you, hasn't it?
Yeah. Arata, like, he still hasn't looked up to you, Sammy. I think at this point his plate is finished, so he probably like puts it off to the side. But one of his hands goes to one of his pockets, and he doesn't pull it out quite yet. You get the impression that he's holding on to something in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of starts talking. He just goes, Shirozumi, God. I don't even know where to begin with that guy, God. I mean, he was a detective prodigy. He was famous. Everyone in Okashima knew who he was, knew his voice, and they knew his smile. He had fans, he had charm. The only reason I met him was because my school had a field trip to a radio talk show and he was there for an interview. And we had different views on the spirit rogues because they'd been popular back then. He thought they should be tried in court, and I said that they were doing a lot more than the police, and he laughed. And ever since then, he'd been hanging out with me so he could get my opinion on some things.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, though, the more we hung out, the more we both realized that even though our circumstances were so different, we were similar in a lot of ways. Except there was this one really big difference. It was so big that now, when I look back, I can't believe I missed it.
What'd you miss?
That he was alone. Give me a second, I'm crying. Give me a sec.
Oh, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
He never had anyone. I mean, sure, he had the support of the police, but he even admitted that their only use to him were their resources and their mobility, and he might have had fans, but know, their fans, and he didn't really have family. As far as I knew, he didn't have friends. I don't think he knew how to have a normal conversation with someone his age. He lived on his own. he was alone.
He sounds really lonely.
Yeah, it was that kind of. He never showed it, but it ate away at him. Made him so bitter and angry. It made it so hard for him to trust anyone. And Arata takes off his glasses and he starts rubbing at his face. He's like trying to pull himself together before he continues. And he goes, when I moved to Okashima for my probation, I was in the attic of a cafe, but you know me. I bounce pretty easily. I make friends like it's nothing. I had people who supported me. But Azumi, he hated the fact that even though he had to work so hard just to be acknowledged, a no-name like me who lived in the attic of a back alley cafe had people he could rely on and rely on him. Told me to my face that was why he hated me. He hated the fact that I was higher than him. We once had a sparring match, and when he lost, he got upset. Arata finally pulls out what he's holding on to in his pocket. Sammy, you see that he's a glove. It is a glove for the right. It's black, and it looks like it's made out of a leather material.
Mm-hmm.
Arata goes and he says, after that fight, he gave me this and made me promise him that we'd have a rematch one day, and he told me that the next time he would beat me. That was when he told me he hated my guts. And after that
Sammy at this point has definitely pulled Arata just into a full-fledged hug.
Yeah, I think at this point Arata's like not even like trying to hide the fact that he's crying.
Sammy he very much has pulled Arata basically into his lap so he can like basically just fully envelop Arata, and he just kind of quietly says, "It's not your fault, Arata. It sounds like Azumi didn't reach out. I've been in both of your guys' shoes. I spent so long, 8 years, not reaching out. But I reached out. It's not your fault, Arata. It's not."
I know it's not my fault, but it still
hurts.
It's so fucking stupid. Because now it should have been obvious to me that he was dealing with it the whole goddamn time. But I didn't. I never even realized how much it was hurting him until it was the last time I saw him.
The last time you saw him?
The last time I saw him, he was so angry, and I tried to calm him down. I really did. And he Arata's having trouble saying this, so I think at this point he just kind of like wordlessly pulls himself out of the hug for a moment. I'm gonna establish now.
Mm-hmm.
He had his he took off his overshirt. The one that's sort of a jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But he also grabs the bottom of his shirt,
Mm-hmm.
and he looks at you, Sammy, and then he just kind of sighs, and then he lifts the of his shirt up so that you can see what's on his chest. And give me a second. I'm gonna pull
Mm-hmm.
up a screenshot. Not only do you see the scars that are on his abdomen, and you can see that across his chest is a very, very nasty looking kind of scar. And I'll let you roll either medicine or arcana.
Okay. Both of those are the same, so...
Oh boy.
That's an 8.
An 8?
Just a straight 8.
Poor Sammy.
All Sammy knows is, ooh, that shit's bad.
Yeah. It's a really bad scar. And Arata shows you this. And he kind of he was so angry that he almost killed me. And then Arata drops the front of his shirt and kind of like fixes it, and he says, but I think I think after that, he realized how stupid he'd been. After everything he'd done. In his last moments, I think we reached an understanding. I mean, we weren't really friends. We've been rivals for a little bit, sure, but we were probably enemies for a little bit. But in those last moments, I don't know what we were. We both realized it. We both things had been different. If we had just met, what, like a year or two, we probably could have been great friends. I never wanted to fight him. I just wanted us to get along. For him, I mean, why didn't he let me help him, Sammy? He didn't have to die. He didn't the rest of him out on his own. He knew he wouldn't have been able to survive. He knew he was getting himself killed. We could have. If he just let us help, he wouldn't have had to do that. He didn't have to be alone. He would have. Could have lived.
Sammy pulls you into another hug, Arata.
It's not fair. It's not fair that I'm here and he's long gone. It's not fair. And Arata just like clings onto you. And I'm sorry, but your shirt is probably wet now because he is sobbing.
I will say point blank, Sammy does not mind. He has basically kind of fluffed up his his cloak, so it's now basically a blanket around you, Arata. And like he's basically kind of like untied it, like unclasped it, and like you are now an Arata burrito. You are now an Arata burrito in a very, very black, shiny cloak. And Sammy's arms have wrapped tightly around you, Arata, and he just holds you so close. It's not fair. It's not. Both of you didn't deserve that. He deserved better. You deserved better. I know you know it's not your fault, but I'm going to say it again. And God, Arata, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry too.
We can't change the past, but if something ever like that happens again, you can see the signs. You can still help people, Arata. Just because he didn't reach out in time doesn't mean it's not your it's not. Let me just rephrase that section. It's not your fault. There's two sides of helping people. There's you offering a hand, and the other person has to take it. And you've been offering your hand for probably as long as you've known Azumi. It's not your fault he didn't take it until it was too late. It's not. You said you didn't notice how lonely he was, but you were doing your best. From what it sounds like, you were his friend, Arata. You were his friend. Even if he sounds like a selfish prick who didn't appreciate it more. But you were his friend.
There were these guards on the boat, and those last moments, Azumi broke the mechanism that in with them, and that was the last time I saw him. But he took it on. He sacrificed himself for us. Maybe that was his way for atoning for what happened. I've never really told anybody about this before.
Arata, I'm so sorry. It sounds like you got wrapped up in some really shitty plot.
I told him was that I'd hold on to his glove. Sometimes it feels like I'm still waiting for him to come back so he can take it.
Yeah. I get that.
Kind of goes quiet by now.
Mm-hmm.
He's sobbing as hard, but he is still kinda. There's still some tears.
Mm-hmm.
He's not wearing his glasses. He took them off so he could gaze.
Okay, that was a 9. Sammy kind of digs into his sleeve and pulls out a white handkerchief edged with a rainbow edging and just kind of starts dabbing at Arata's cheeks.
What are you, my mom?
No, but it's nice to take care of somebody.
Yeah.
Do you feel a little better? I know it won't fix everything, but did it?
A little better. Not perfect, but you know.
Yeah.
It did feel like I was kind of stuck for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Sumi's gone. There's not a lot I can do about that anymore.
No, it's... With how long it's been, yeah, it's hard to bring someone back.
I think if I tried to bring him back, he would throttle me.
Yeah, no, he does kind of seem like that kind of person, but I'd probably smack him if he tried to hurt you.
Yeah. I don't think he would try that. Not after everything that happened.
Yeah, well, in the unlikely event that there is an Akechi zombie walking around the streets,
Zumi.
Mother Pecker! a zoomy zombie. This is what happens when I've binge watched the majority of Persona. This is what happens. Anyways, I am gonna... If there is an Azumi zombie walking around the streets of Einquill, I mean, you have my back. I have your back. You already had my back with my zombie, but if you have a zombie, I've got your back. You know?
Yeah. And the baby's making a lot of noise. I think at this point, Arata just kind of sighs, and he is now going to just lean over and just flump. There is now an Arata in your lap, and he goes,
Sammy is now trapped.
It's your turn.
Sammy kind of pauses because his mental gears had been help Arata, must help Arata, and now it's like, oh fuck, it's my turn. Oh no. And he just kind of visibly freezes.
Too soon?
No, it's... Arata, what do you think of me after all of that? All of Sinclair? You must know I wanted to kill him. Part of me still does.
But you didn't. Sammy, please don't make you a bad person.
I was so angry, Arata. There was a split second where I didn't care. I didn't care if it meant Sinclair was dead. What would happen to all of you guys?
Arata kind of just... Arata, like, takes a deep breath, and he takes a moment to kind of try and think of how to respond. He kind of, like, glances off to the side, and, he goes, I can't tell you what the right thing would have been, Sammy. But in my opinion, killing him would have been too easy. Killing him would have put you down that. Probably wouldn't be easy to step of. And he makes a vague gesture with one hand, like, I already talked about one murderer I knew.
Sammy kind of weakly smiles at you, Arata, and he glances away, and his shoulders kind of hunch. And he says, I wanted to kill Roxy. She wanted to kill Bevan. I'm scared, Arata.
It's okay to be scared. He holds out a hand for you.
Sammy takes it, and he just kind of, his other free hand kind of just rubs at his chest, and he just quietly says, you know, Sinclair did something fun when he had me last.
Like, this time, or?
This time.
Not going to hurt you ever again.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, 'cause his specialty's mind magic, you know. He made it so we wouldn't forget. I wouldn't forget.
Maybe just 1 second to roll something. Rada's kind of squeezing your hand. He doesn't really notice how tightly he's holding it.
same shit that he did to me, but now I can't forget it now. He made sure of that. And I've got more scars. I hate him, Arata. I hate him so damn much.
Yeah, every right. God. I mean, I hate him too, but, like, let's not get into that.
Did you know that Gil and I...
Continue.
Do you know that Gil
Go
and
ahead.
I broke up?
Arata kind of just looks at you like, oh shit.
Yeah, you know when I went on that trip for a bit? It was right before that. It's why I left. I left Toontown for a bit.
Sammy, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's fine. I went too fast and it didn't work out. It is what it is, and even though we broke up, Gil... I was on the phone with Gil when it happened.
Arata's essentially giving you the floor. That's why he's like been kind of quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But he is like watching you, trying to make sure that you're okay.
Yeah. Sammy's kind of talking, but he's like, it's very like, you don't have to roll insight for this. It's very obvious he's still kind of trying to process everything. And he kind of looks at you, Arata, and is like, Gil told me you figured him out. I knew you were smart.
Just lets out a soft chuckle and goes, he kind of made it too easy, but that's neither here nor there.
Arata, there's not really a lot else. He did the same shit. Just viewed me as a moving inkwell for his own stupid purposes. He didn't really touch the others.
Scum of the lowest kind.
Yeah, I kinda made it so he would go after me instead of them. Anyways, I had to make sure that they were okay.
And that's who you are. I mean, you have every right to hate Sinclair, and I stand by that. But, Sammy, you wanted to protect the others. That's who you are. You are a kind person. Does his best to look out for the people around him. And Sinclair just a leech who thinks he's bigger than he actually is. I'd call him a rat, but that's an insult to rats.
One sec.
The point is,
There you say that, and there is a quiet squeak, squeak, as a little mouse rat kind of pokes his head out of Sammy's sleeve, and Sammy just kind of blink, 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 blink. Squeakers, where have you been?
you have a mouse.
Yeah, this is Squeakers. I've had him since I was 10, 11. Squeakers found me on the streets, and he's one of the reasons I'm not dead now. Squeak, squeak.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Squeakers.
Squeak. And then Squeakers disappears back into Sammy's sleeve, into his hammer's face. Sorry, I had to do the gag.
Oh, it was so good. Needed a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
The point is, Sammy. The things we did in the past does not define who we are. It's what we do with what happened to us. If we decide to be good or bad or just neutral, somewhere in the middle, that's who we are.
I'm just I get so angry sometimes, Arata. It's like everything just goes away. I'm scared of that, Arata. One of these times you're not gonna be there to stop me, and it's gotten me in some really big shit. Because
I get that.
even if I want to protect everyone, this is a part of me too.
If something happens, the best you can do after the fact. I guess would just to atone for what happened. Do what you can to make up for it. Sammy, I Arata like chuckles, like he knows that this is probably a question that's coming out of left field, but he goes, "Have you ever considered anger counseling or like anger management?"
We're just gonna roll history to see if Sammy's ever heard of that. Oh, that was a 4! Sammy just kind of blankly stares at you. And is like, there's a class for that?
I mean, Arata laughs again. He's still holding onto your hand. He has not let go, but it is like a hold now. But he goes, yeah. I mean, I've never myself, but my school counselor back home has like talked about it. There's like these class that people who struggle with anger take. It helps them work through, I don't know, like, I guess tips and advice so that they won't like fly off the handle. From what I heard, it helps. You can probably find like a therapist or someone who does stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Arata. Sammy's just kind of, there's a very visible kind of like, huh, I have been enlightened today kind of thought behind Sammy's face.
I think it kind of like smiles at you. It's not that like joking smile, but like that, yeah, I'm glad that you now know that this is a thing that exists. And he says, if you want, I could go with you to check the place out. If we ever find something like that suits you.
I would like that. You know, I'm still really... We never really figured out what Detective Plant's true motive was. Really.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to get anywhere near that plant.
Roll insight, Arata.
Oh shit! Your one roll, well, your second roll, and you had to get a bullshit for this, huh?
Sammy is kind of like his brow is kind of furrowed, and it's very clear that he doesn't know how to describe what he's feeling, but it's very visibly he's uncomfortable at the thought of meeting Detective Plant again. And there's just it's very obvious that there are just so many things piled up in Sammy's brain that just all lead to a very big messy discomfort. Because you remember, Sammy's dealt with Detective Plant, what, counting Flourish, is 3 times now that Sammy's had to deal with Detective Plant.
Oh my god. Yo, yeah, give me a sec. I think.
But, like, you also realize that Sammy can't put it into words why he's so discomforted.
Let me guess. He's got questionable methods.
Yeah, they they tricked me into spying for Laffy. I don't. It was, and then.
No, yeah, I would not like that either.
And then they're hiding the fact that they're a sentient plant from their partner.
They have a partner?
I say partner, but not romantic. It's they share. At least I don't think they're romantic. I hope they're not romantic.
Arata just bursts out laughing.
The reason I brought up Mixed Detective Plant is because they share an office space with a therapist, and the therapist is lovely, but I'm not comfortable there with Detective Plant there, and that they don't know about Detective Plant. And then there was Laffy and whatever. I still don't know what with Laffy. Everything happened so fast. Bevan.
Oh god. Yeah. Plant's business partner. Do they do house calls?
Maybe I'd have to ask, but therapists can go to your house?
I mean, general practitioners can. I don't know why a therapist wouldn't. Unless, like, there's some rule against that. Arata just kind of, like, shrugs. Maybe I should ask Masaru that.
Is Masaru one of your friends?
Yeah, he was the school counselor. Back when I was still in Okashima. He was a therapist, and the school hired him because some God, Harada like makes a face as he's like in the middle of him. He just remembered a bunch of stuff all at once. He just goes. He takes a deep breath and tries to watch himself, and then he goes, "Yeah, the school hired Masaru because a lot of things happened at our school, and that having a school counselor would probably, you know, help the students.
Sammy nods.
I have a lot of thoughts about that school, but that's neither here nor there.
You can tell me about it at a later time, because
Yeah.
I like hearing about what happened, you know, and all the people you met, all your friends. It's reassuring, Arata, to know that you're not alone, because I care about you.
I care about you too, Sammy. And the same you. You're not alone. You got me and Detective March and everyone else.
I kind of got that very firmly smacked into my head with Sinclair. I didn't think I was going to see anyone again. And I heard your voice through the golden haze. I'm so relieved, but then Auntie Lynn was there. March. And tremolo note.
Rada laughs. But I think at this point, he lets go of your hand, Sammy, and kind of like rolls over so he's not on his back. He is now like on his stomach, hugging you like a clingy cat. He just goes, Sammy! And then just flops his head against your, like, abdomen.
Did I... Has anyone ever told you just how much you're like Genie?
Sorry, I looked at Nuts and Bolts Gallery. For anybody listening in the future, somebody just said cat boy.
Right as I made the joke about Genie.
You actually hear Genie let out a meow that sounds like a laugh. Oh god. Amazing. We love that here. Arata just goes, I am not afraid to admit that I am clingy.
No, I don't judge you for it. Just there's some family resemblance between you and the cat.
You hear Genie meow. And he just goes, God, let me do the voice. Hey, Sammy. His head. Pat his head.
Sammy gets a really kind of like, oh. And then just kind of pat, 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 pat. Scritch, scritch, scritch. Ooh, fluffy hair. Scritch, 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 scritch.
Melts in your hands. I don't know how to describe with words the kind of face Arata makes when you like pat his head. I'm just gonna put an emoticon in the FPS roll sound. The face he has.
Oh, beautiful, 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 beautiful. And like Sammy kind of just like kind of slightly shuffles Arata to make sure that Arata doesn't fall off, and just kind of keeps loosely kind of scritching at Arata's very fluffy bedhead hair. And then it's just like, you know, you have the same off switch that I do.
There's a moment where it's like he's quiet, but not because of like he's emotional or anything, but then you open his eyes and he just goes, "Sorry, what were we talking about?"
Basically, you have the same off switch I have. And he just kind of points at his own head.
Alright.
Arata just kind of... Look. Getting your hair played with is nice.
I'm not judging you. Arata, I've had 8 years of people not touching my head when Gil's brother started getting leaves out of my hair one time when we met at a shrine. No, not nearly. I basically fell asleep on him.
Oh my god.
8 years, Arata. 8 years.
I guess we're just both touch-starved, huh?
Yeah, good thing we both really like cuddles, cause
Yeah.
I have given you I have figured out your off switch, and now I'll give you mine. I gave you mine, so now we're even. So if I'm ever too high strung, just start. I don't know, braid my hair or something. I'll turn into a puddle of mush. Gloopy Sammy, right at your feet. Fair's fair.
Arata is just grinning up at you now.
So, yeah, we both like getting our hair played. There's just Sammy kind of like has kind of just like let his hand kind of rest on Arata's head. His hand rests on Arata's head and just kind of like he's very kind of just visibly biting at his lower lip because he's feeling shy and he doesn't know why.
This is a mental image, I want you to know. Like, oh my goodness. I think now Arata is just... He lets out a sigh. He's still kind of smiling, and he just... You know, Sam... Can I call you that? Sammy Butter?
I don't really... No one's shortened Sammy to Sam before. People have called me Samuel, but... Sammy just kind of shrugs. He you don't have to roll insight. He has a very complicated relationship with his own name now.
That's fair. Well, whatever name you pick.
Really?
I'm just glad that I know you. Holy shit.
Sounds like they're rustling a bucket.
There's stuff going on in the kitchen. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Like, I had the mental image of, like, the very small child that lives in your home just grabbing a bucket somehow and, like, slamming it down on the floor.
No, somebody's in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Probably, like, washing dishes or something. Yeah, Arata just goes, I'm really glad I know you.
I'm really glad too, Arata. I'm so glad I know you. Oh shit, like,
Yeah,
I'm getting a little misty-eyed just from how happy Sammy is at knowing Arata.
And I think... and I think at this point, Arata goes quiet for a bit, and he goes, you know what? We should, like, do something. Like, I don't know, get out of town for a bit, forget about all the shit that's been happening for a little bit. Just...
I rolled history for Sammy.
Do something fun.
Because, like, he's, like, going, like, yeah, we should. And, he got a 13. I'm gonna say that passes. And he just kind of, there's a light bulb that goes over his head. And, like, he just kind of, like, his hand moves from your head, Arata, to kind of grab your shoulders, like, very loosely. And he just kind of is like, Arata, there's a festival going to be happening in Hitoyama.
There's a... what?
A festival!
And Arata's face just lights up.
We can get snacks. We can watch the fireworks. I could even potentially introduce you to Hajime if he's not busy. And just, oh, there's, like, so many things I want to show you at Hitoyama. That's honestly where I ended up staying most of my trip, was Hitoyama. It's a really nice town.
I want to grab my yukata now.
Yeah, I need to get a new yukata, cause yeah, like, the one I rented it. I had to give it back.
Oh.
But just Sammy is, like, just kind of, there's a very, just, he's there. There's a thought bubble above his head, and he's just thinking about all, like, it's just a, like, kind of like a conveyor belt of, like, all of the different Japanese Ghiblian snacks that you can get at the festival.
Okay. Arata laughs, and he finally, like, sits up straighter, so he's not like, on top of you.
Mm-hmm.
And he just... okay, we're gonna make plans now. We're gonna go on a trip.
Just the two of us. And, like, Sammy
Yeah.
just kind of nods determinedly, because, yes.
And Jeannie.
We couldn't forget Jeannie. Like, I mean, you and Jeannie are basically a package deal. Oh, that reminds me. And I'm just gonna roll hammer space. And that was a 2. And Sammy pulls out a package of sushi. Because he did promise Jeannie that he was gonna get him some sushi during that hell ride of a car.
Hell car ride. Oh, I love that. Jeannie immediately perks up. Like, he was kind of, like, lounging on the floor, and then, like, his head snaps upwards. And you hear Jeannie go, Sammy, I love you so much right now.
And Sammy kind of just unwraps the package and just kind of puts it on the floor, and like he's grinning and just like, "You're welcome, Jeannie. I did promise. So I hope you like Ghibli and sushi."
No qualms from this cat. He is immediately going to eat it.
And like he just kind of grins and like, Arata, it's your turn to get flopped on, because Sammy is now flopping on you.
Oh no, I've been trapped!
Sammy just kind of laughs and like just kind of smushes his face into your stomach, and it's just like, I'm so glad you're here, Arata.
I'm glad I'm here too.
And Sammy's kind of like got his face mushed into your chest, stomach area, right around there, and he kind of turns his cheek, so his cheek is pressed up against you, and he just kind of goes, "It feels like I've known you forever, and even with the rocky start, that was all my fault, really."
I don't blame you for it.
Marta, you're like family to me. You've...
Ah!
Like, Sammy has been dying to say this all FPS. It was not planned, but he's been dying to say it.
I rolled to see if Arata could keep his no, he can't. Like, Arata's eyes just go wide, and he just... He's just like... Oh shit!
You don't have to feel the same way, but I wanted to...
No more talking. Arata pulled you into a big hug.
I just wanted to let you know, because you've been so important to me. I can't imagine not being there with you, and I just... Your family. Your family.
Well, it's like what I told Bev. We have the right to choose who our family is. And if you want to choose me, I'd gladly choose you.
Really? You're like a brother to me, Arata. I just... Thanks. Thank you.
Anytime. Oh, Lupine, shut up!
What'd he say? What did he say this time?
He says I have to introduce you. He says I have to introduce you to everyone else now.
Sammy visibly perks up. I want to meet everyone. I want to meet your friends, your family, I want to meet them. Cuz they're important to you. And they sound like they care about you so much, Arata. You know?
Yeah. I think they'd love.
Really? And Sammy's just kind of very. He's just. Oh, my dude, you don't have to roll insight. Sammy's feeling super shy and happy and just. Right now.
I mean. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Like, Sammy. I don't think it's possible for them to like you. I mean, come on.
It's just sometimes you gotta ask for confirmation and everything.
I get that.
Yeah, I love you, Arata. You know that?
Yeah, I love you too.
Oh my gosh, I am dying.
Oh, me too! Mira!
Avi, these boys.
Oh my god.
I think we could potentially call it there.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, I think that's a nice, good place to...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about I give you this? I think now that, like, things have, like, calmed down and they both, like, managed to get things off their chest,
Mm-hmm.
on the subject of Arata's friend, probably, like, picks out one or two letters he's gotten, and, he'll read them out loud to you, Sammy.
Sammy's shading is incredibly very golden as he listens to just all of the letters and just details. Yes. There's most likely Sammy has done a happy hand flap at some point because he's so happy. But yeah, I feel like the camera kind of pulls out from them sitting in the living room, reading over Sammy, listening to Arata read him letters, and it pulls out, and you see the house of paint, and then you see the garden, still kind of in shambles, but slowly being put back to rights. And then it pans up into a sunset, and then the camera winks off. Thank you all for joining us.
Yes. And thank you, Mira, for joining me with this.
Thank you for joining me as well, Avi. I hold these boys so soft.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good, Your Honor.
We are. I'm gonna say goodbye to the listeners now before I get trapped in a loop of sobbing over these boys. Bye!
No, me too. Bye!